Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Darrell Owens, and we're back for another edition of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and, of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. Today, we are officially entering week 10 of the NFL season. Tonight, we got the Broncos versus Raiders, at AFC West battle of battles. They always go at each other. It's a historic battle. It's a historic rivalry. Two teams on opposite end of the spectrums right now, but whenever it's a division game, you just can't look past it. But the Broncos will host the Raiders tonight, and we're very excited about all of that going down. But we got to get into it all. And that's going to start here now on episode 188 of 101 because it begins now.
One, 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 one. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to 101 at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Here we are, episode 188 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. Look, guys, it's week 10 NFL season. We're officially past the halfway mark of the regular season and have entered game one of the second half of the season. There's been a lot that has went down, tons of injuries, tons of seasons starting to look bleak, a ton of seasons that are starting to look like they're on the up and up, a ton of seasons that are passing and exceeding expectations. But we get into all that today as we bring you the bottom, the outside looking in, of course, the top 10 and the finale to kind of just tell you where we are heading into week 10 of the NFL season. Tonight, we got Broncos versus Raiders. Broncos are at home. They're riding a 6-game win streak. The Broncos are killing it right now. I mean, we got a new number one this week. Could it be the Broncos? Maybe, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit. With that being said, got a lot to get into. So let's go ahead and break this bad boy down. Let's go ahead and start off, ladies and gentlemen, with the bottom. All right. The bottom for week 10 of the NFL season, the power rankings at number 32. The Tennessee Titans. Tennessee actually put up a fight this past week. They had the Chargers come into town. There was a couple of points where it looked like, maybe Cam Ward and the crew would find a way to push past this Chargers team, but the Chargers were able to withstand the punch that the Titans threw. I mean, the Titans started this game off with a very, very, very big play that set them up for set them up for the lead early. They got an interception on a pick six. They were doing good things there. They had a punt return that came back. They took the lead on that end, and then the Chargers slowly but surely kind of came back in there. Did what the Chargers have pretty done much for the most of the season. They're 6-3. They're a solid football team, and unfortunately for the Titans, a team that's still growing and trying to figure out what's the next step in the organization. It just wasn't enough. The Titans are at 32, but they did put up a great fight against the Chargers. At 31, the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Saints just didn't show up against the Rams. The Rams came out and showed why I picked them to be a team that would go to the NFC Championship game and potentially go to the Super Bowl. I like what I see from this Rams team as they continue to grow throughout the season. The Saints, have decided, after the trade deadline that just passed this week, they traded Raheem Shaheed, and he's now a Seattle Seahawk. It's a big trade. They also traded their lineman, and I always get his last name wrong, but it's Peyton. Well, the lineman that's Peyton is now a Charger. So, and I don't know why his name is drawing a blank for me right now, but they're one of their offensive linemen that they just drafted a couple years ago, go to the Chargers, and it gives them an opportunity, the Chargers anyway, to get some help that they needed on the offensive line with all the injuries. But You can say that the Saints are in tank mode, but you don't want to say that. Alvin Kamara is not the same guy. And it would have been nice to see him get traded, but he didn't want to go nowhere. And so they're at the point now where it's like it feels like the end of his career. And it's unfortunate because I got my boy in fantasy, and it did not look good last week at that 0.3 yards. The team's just bad. That's just what it is. At 30, the New York Jets. Now, normally I skip past the bad teams, but the Jets made a lot of moves, y'all. The Jets made a lot of moves here in the last couple of days, or at least by the trade deadline on Tuesday. First of all, you see a big trade where they picked up a lot of draft picks in the two trade. They traded two of their star players on the team, two of the cornerstones of the franchise, to other places. First, Sauce Gardner was the first name off the list. Nobody saw Sauce Gardner getting traded. I didn't know that was even a thing. But Sauce Gardner gets traded to the Indianapolis Colts, the team that has been the number one team in the power rankings the last couple of weeks. They ain't this week, but they were the last couple of weeks. And it was a big, big deal for the Colts to pick him up. They gave away 2 first-round picks. They also traded Adonde Mitchell, the wide receiver who they drafted in the second round a couple of years ago. He goes to the Jets in return for Sauce Gardner. So they get a premier cornerback where they needed a little help at. They had to give away 2 first-round picks for it, but the Jets are happier because they're going to use those picks to rebuild. But man, the Colts have to be happy to have Sauce Gardner there. The other big trade was Quinnen Williams heading to Dallas. Another situation where the Jets picked up 2 more picks. They picked up a second-round pick in this year's draft and a first-round pick in 2027, which actually I believe is either the Packers pick or their pick that the Packers gave for the Micah Parsons trade. So you lose Micah Parsons, and then you gain Quinnen Williams. I'm not saying it's a squash, but Quinnen Williams is a very solid defensive lineman. So Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark together, they're going to be quite dangerous. A guy that didn't get traded, a lot of people thought might have got traded, was Breece Hall. They said that the Chiefs were knocking on the door, and the Jets decided to pass away. So it'll be interesting to see what the Jets do this week. They got the Browns, a battle of bottom teams, trying to figure things out. The Jets are at 30. At 29, the Miami Dolphins, talking about a team that traded a star, or at least one of their stars. The Dolphins traded Jalen Phillips to the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, how the Eagles keep finding ways to get pieces, to keep them thriving, to keep them going. Howie Roseman is the best GM in football. Like him or love him, the man knows how to keep that team relevant. So shout out to Howie Roseman. He's been doing it for years. And, the Dolphins, they didn't really get, I think they may have got a draft pick or 2, but still not enough. They lost last week to the Ravens 28-6. It was not close. I had the game being 24-14, so I did it a little bit better than I thought. But the Ravens starting to click now. They needed the little bit of a burst, but the Dolphins are it's a bad place. They fired their GM, Chris Gear, who'd been in the team for 25 years. He's on the team for 25 years as a scout, and he was a scout, I believe, for the first 16, and then the last 9, he was a GM. And so, you hate to see a guy lose his job, but with the way the climate has been, I understand it. Then on top of that, they haven't won. They haven't won a playoff game since December 30th of 2020. Of 2000. I was being nice. So yeah, the Dolphins are another team where we don't know what it's going to look like the next couple of years. Dolphins at 29. At 28, the New York Giants. The Giants actually competed, had a really good game with the 49ers. 49ers kind of pulled away, and the Giants just kept, gnawing at it, trying to do what they can. It just wasn't enough. The Giants are just decimated by injury. If Scatterboo was healthy, if Neighbors were healthy, I think this game goes a different way. That's just my personal opinion with the 49ers. At 27, the Browns. The Browns won a bye last week, so we don't have to talk too bad about them. They're at 27. At 26, the Vegas Raiders. Vegas had a chance to get win number 3 against the Jaguars. It was actually a really back-and-forth contest. Brock Bowers goes out there, has himself, a great game in his return game. 3 touchdowns, 12 receptions, 127 yards. The reason why people look at him as the future at the tight end position along with Tucker Kraft. But unfortunately, Tucker Kraft, who is now gone for the season, don't get me to talking about that. This team has really, shown a little bit of a spark the last week or so, but they had a chance at home, and the Jaguars snuck it out. And in the process of this game, we saw the NFL record for a field goal where Cam Little, who hit a 70-yarder in the preseason, hit a 68-yarder in this game, beating Justin Tucker's 66-yard field goal NFL record. So congratulations to Cam Little of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the Raiders are at 26, and they still got a long way to go. At 25, the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders have done, oh boy, it has been rough. And, as you know, your boy gets a front row seat to what the Commanders do on a daily basis, or what the Commanders do on a game-to-game basis, I should say. My colleague, Kenny Wall, is there on a day-to-day basis. But I'm telling you right now, this is bad. The game was never close. Seattle came out there, punched him in the mouth. It was 28-0 heading into or getting close to the half. Jaden Daniels was able to get a touchdown in there at some point, but it just was ugly. There was a couple of high points. Mikey Sarin still got an interception, but it wasn't enough. The biggest thing that happened in this game is Jaden Daniels could be out for the rest of the season with a dislocated elbow. It was ugly, ladies and gentlemen. It was ugly, and it was not a sight to see. It was really tough for a lot of fans. It was extremely quiet in there, and I hadn't seen it be that quiet in that stadium since the Alex Smith injury. So it's a tough go. It's a tough go for Washington. They lost Luke McCaffrey at the beginning of the game, very first play. He broke his collarbone. It's just the injuries are piling up. They got like 15 starters that are hurt. Now, a lot of people say, well, Darrell, the starters are hurt, but look at the 49ers. True. The 49ers been doing their thing, no matter what the situation is. So, they got Detroit this week, and I don't think it gets any better. The Commanders are at 25. At 24, the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati was in a dogfight with the Bears, losing 47-42. It was a back-and-forth contest. Joe Flacco and the crew had their chances, had their moments. It just wasn't enough. If you'd have told me that the Bears and the Bengals was going to put up 89 points, I would have probably laughed at you. Joe Flacco almost threw for 500 yards. 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, 31 for 41. Caleb Williams went 20 for 34, 3 touchdowns. It was just an insane football game. But the Bears were able to outlast the Bengals. The Bengals are now 3-6. At 23, the Atlanta Falcons. They lost a nail-biter to the Patriots 24-23. They had to fight to get back in that one, and it wasn't enough. Their kicker, Romeo, missed the extra point, and that would have tied the game, and now he no longer has a job. Zane Gonzalez, the former Commander kicker from last year, is now the kicker in Atlanta. At 22, the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas went on Monday night, had a chance to, inch a little closer in the NFC East, decided, nope, that's not something we want to do. They lose to the Arizona Cardinals 27-17, and Jacoby Brissett, ladies and gentlemen, will be the new starter in Arizona. And if you're a Cardinals fan, you like the way Brissett has played over the last 2 weeks. The last 3 weeks, I guess you could say, getting a win in the process. Probably should have beat the Packers. And, they have been a better football team offensively with Brissett in a QB. It's just that simple. He went 21 for 31, 2 touchdowns, and 261. So shout out to Jacoby Brissett. Dak Prescott, 24 for 39, a touchdown and a pick. This team just, I don't know what it is. They're not good on defense. The offense just looks stagnant in this one. It was a bad day for Dallas fans. They're still in the mix somehow, some way, but it's not good. It is not good. They're in second place in the division, but still it's not good. Cowboys are at 22. At 21, the Houston Texans. The Texans had a game against the Denver Broncos where they had the lead. Looked like they were going to, find a way to win it. The Broncos fight back at the end, winning 18 to 15 in that contest. So it was really nice to see them, figure things out in that one. And so there it is. Here's our bottom teams heading into week 10. We've got the Titans, the Saints, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Giants, the Browns, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Bengals, the Falcons, the Cowboys, and the Houston Texans. One more time at the bottom, we got the Titans, the Saints, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Giants, the Browns, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Bengals, the Falcons, the Cowboys, and the Houston Texans rounding out the bottom. Whew. Tough bottom this week, y'all. Things get a little bit different each and every time. But that's where the bottom stands. Now let's see who's on the outside looking in, knocking on the door to the top 10. All right, so here we go. Top 10. Oh, excuse me. 20 through 11, and the outside looking in. At number 20, the Arizona Cardinals. We talked about Jacoby Brissett and his team finding a way to win and ending that 5-game losing streak. They're at number 20. At number 19, the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens winning their second straight game. They kind of handled the Dolphins. Lamar Jackson is back in action. They look like a different football team, and a win 28-6. They also picked up in the and via trade before the trade deadline, they picked up Draymond Jones from Tennessee. He'd be a nice, solid linebacker pickup for the Baltimore Ravens. At 18, the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings went into Detroit and beat the Detroit Lions 27-24. J.J. McCarthy, 14 for 25, 2 touchdowns, an interception, 143 yards. Wasn't sexy, but it was enough. Aaron Jones came in, 9 carries for 78 yards. He did get nicked up in there. Jordan Addison had 48 receptions, a touchdown. Justin Jefferson scored his first touchdown in a while in this game, but the defense held strong. J.J. McCarthy gets a little breath of fresh air because people were starting to think, hey, what do the Vikings do next? And a nice win over the Detroit Lions had people changing their minds just a little bit. The Vikings are at 18. At 17, the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, win of the week, a 16-13 win over the Green Bay Packers. Disgusting if you're a Packers fan or enthusiast. But this Carolina team hung in, fought hard. Rico Dowdle had a great game. And, 130 yards rushing, 25 carries, and 2 touchdowns on the day. The Packers, I don't know what I saw. Jordan Love, 26 for 37, 1 interception, no touchdowns. Jacobs did what he normally does, 17 carries, 87 yards. Dobbs had 7 receptions, 91 yards. They just couldn't score. And the Panthers win on a Ryan Fitzgerald game-winning kick with the time expiring 16-13. The Panthers are creeping up, y'all. They are creeping up. At 16, the Kansas City Chiefs, 5-4 for the Chiefs, a tough loss to the Bills, but this happens every year. The Chiefs lose to the Bills in the regular season and beat them in the playoffs. We don't know if that's even going to happen this year because the Chiefs currently, as of right now, the 8th seed, so they're on the outside looking in of the playoff hunt. But with that being said, it'll be interesting to see if the Chiefs can bounce back again next week, but that was a tough go in Buffalo. At 15, the Chicago Bears. We talked about their great win over the Cincinnati Bengals, 47-42, and moving to 5-3 on the season. They're in the mix in the NFC North. At 14, the Jacksonville Jaguars with their 30-29 victory over the Vegas Raiders, moving to 5-3 themselves, trying to stay in the mix in the AFC South. At 13, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh. This is one I got right, ladies and gentlemen. Pittsburgh defeated the Indianapolis Colts 27-20. That was my surprise pick of the week last week, and I just had a feeling. I mean, obviously, the Colts have not won in Pittsburgh since 2008. My daughter was, 1, maybe not even that. And so the Steelers got a big win at home against the Colts and kind of knocked the Colts down a little bit heading into this week. But the Colts are still 7-2. They're still the 1 seed in the AFC, so things are still looking up for Indianapolis. At 12, the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, yes, they did lose to the Vikings, but I still like what Detroit's done. Obviously, they have a better record, and in most cases, I would probably be like, hey, whatever. But the Lions, I think, are now either 0-2 in the division this year or 1-2. I can't remember if they played the Bears, so they're 1-2 in the AFC or in the NFC North right now. So that's got to be a little bit, nerve-wracking if you are the Detroit Lions. At number 11 and knocking on the door, the outside looking in, knocking on the top 10's door, that is the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are 6-3. They get a nice win over the Giants, 34-24, and the most injured team in football, or at least it feels like that on paper, finds a way once again. They're 6-3. They're in the playoff mix, and they're letting people know, hey, we're still here. So here it is, the outside looking in. Cardinals, Ravens, Vikings, Panthers, Chiefs, Bears, Jaguars, Steelers, Lions, and knocking at the door at number 11, the San Francisco 49ers. So there they are, the outside looking in, and we're getting a little bit closer. New number one, top 10. How coming your way right now. Let's find out who's in the top 10. All right, ladies and gentlemen, top 10. At number 10, the San Diego Chargers, aka the LA Chargers, with their win over Tennessee. It was a scrappy fight, but Justin Herbert and the crew got the win. They're 6-3, and things are still looking up for the Los Angeles Chargers. At number 9, the Green Bay Packers. They dropped from 2. Oh no, they went from 2 to 9. And to be honest with you, I want to put them further down, but they lose a tough one to a Panthers team that won 4 out of their last 5. So maybe I shouldn't even feel, bad, but the Packers can play better than what they played, and it did not look good. So they're sitting at 9 this week. Shout out to my man Mike Patton that said they were ranked number 10, and I defended this team on my man Joe Cardozo's show over on the NBS Sports Network, and I sat there and defended this Green Bay team, and they made me look bad. Thank you, Green Bay. I'll never defend you again. They're at number 9. At number 8, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were on a bye. They were chilling this week. Number 7, the Philadelphia Eagles. They were on a bye. They were chilling this week. At number 6, the Seattle Seahawks went into Washington and destroyed the Washington Commanders 38-14. It felt worse than that, if I had to be honest with you. Sunday Night Football, prime time, a chance for Washington to kind of get back under things. They lose Jaden Daniels for potentially the season. It was just rough. But Sam Darnold, 21 for 24, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Sam Darnold was 20 for 20 at one point heading into the third quarter. He was cooking 330 yards. And once again, I will say till I'm blue in the face, it makes the Minnesota Vikings say, hey, man, should we have moved on? Yes, J.J. McCarthy had a good week this week, but something tells me if Sam Darnold is there, they're 8-1. I feel like they're a way better football team if Sam Darnold is at QB. But, hey, you got J.J. McCarthy. We'll see how it goes. The Seahawks are happy to have Sam Darnold, and they seem to have their guy and quarterback of the future. The Seahawks are at 6. At 5, the Los Angeles Rams with a dominant win over the New Orleans Saints, 34-10. Matt Stafford, 281 yards, 24 for 32, 4 touchdowns by Matt Stafford. 4. Count them, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Just a great day. Puka Nacua, 7 receptions, 95 yards, and a TD. The Rams look good. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I want to be right. I want to be wrong in some ways, but I want to be right at the same time. Shout out to the Rams there at number 5. At number 4, the Buffalo Bills with a win. Big win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said, kryptonite in the playoffs. They got their number during the regular season. Buffalo's 6-2, sitting at number 4. At number 3, and this is wrong. The Indianapolis Colts are 7-2, so my apologies on that. The 7-2 Indianapolis Colts dropped 2 spots this week from number 1 to number 3. Tough loss for the Colts against Pittsburgh because it felt like a little bit of a regression for Daniel Jones. And look, quarterbacks have bad games. 342 yards, 31 for 50, a touchdown, and 3 picks. That felt like New York Giants Daniel Jones. But things can still change. Things can still get better. Don't feel bad, Colts fans. It's still, midway through the season. They've got some tough matchups coming up, some tough tests to see if this Colts team is truly for real. They've had some games where they played some like cupcake matchups. Their one big win to me on the season against the new number 1 Denver Broncos. And so I'm intrigued to see where the Colts are the next couple weeks. At number 2, the New England Patriots. I wanted to put them at number 1. I contemplated, it was between these 3 teams. All 3 teams were 7-2. Like I said, don't ignore the fact that says 6-2 for the Colts. And between those 7-2 teams, I felt like the Denver Broncos are the best team right now. You got the best defense. You got a good young offense. And they've had some bigger wins, in my opinion. Some bigger wins. It's not by a lot. The Eagles went over the defending champs, big one. The Patriots did have a big win over Buffalo. So it's tough. And it was tough for me. But Patriots at number 2. And number 1, the Denver Broncos heading into week 10. So shout out to Denver Broncos, their first ever number 1 ranking on the 101 power ranking. So here we are, top 10. Chargers, Packers, Bucks, Eagles, Seahawks, Rams, Bills, Colts, Patriots, and number 1 for the first time ever, the Denver Broncos. Shout out to my man Nick. I love you, brother, and I hope that makes you smile up top. All right. There it is. The power rankings officially locked and loaded heading into week 10. Let's go ahead and finish this up properly, ladies and gentlemen, with the finale. All right, so our finale. First of all, the Kings of the Gridiron for week number 9 of the NFL season. Our offensive king of the gridiron, Sam Darnold, 21 for 24, 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a QBR of 141 at a 38-14 victory over Washington. This could have went to Sam, could have. I keep saying Sam. I don't know if I say Sam Cosby, but this could have went to Matt Stafford. But watching Darnold put on that performance he did in person was hard for me to be like, nah, he don't deserve it. Shout out to Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks as they get the win over Washington 38-14. On the defensive side, another week, another team that lost, and the player gets the defensive player of the game. Now, this is 3 straight weeks that a Packer has been in the King of the Gridiron. We had Jordan last week. We had Michael Parsons 2 weeks before. Xavier McKinney, 9 tackles, 1 sack, 1 pick, 1 forced fumble in the loss to Carolina. He did everything he could. He did everything he could to win that game. The rest of the team said, nah, we good, brother. So there it is. Our King of the Gridirons for week number 9. Sam Darnold on the offensive side, Xavier McKinney on the defensive side. Now, MVP candidate. You see the love is no longer in there. Number 1, still going with Jonathan Taylor at the number 1 slot. Drake May, another win for this New England team. And I got him at number 2. Allen at number 3. Josh Allen. Daniel Jones, I'm going to leave him in the mix for now. Tough week, but I'm going to leave him in the mix for now at number 4. And then Baker Mayfield sitting at number 5. Those are my top 5 MVP candidates. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if the playoffs were to start today, number 1 on the AFC side, the Indianapolis Colts, despite the loss, they're still the number 1 seed. The number 2 seed, New England Patriots, will take on the number 7 seed, Jacksonville Jaguars. The number 3 seed, Denver Broncos, will take on the number 6 seed, Los Angeles Chargers, and number 4 seed Pittsburgh Steelers would take on the number 5 seed Buffalo Bills if the AFC playoffs started today. On the NFC side, a new number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles have reclaimed the spot. They would be the 1 seed and get the bye. The 2 seed would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they would take on the 7 seed Detroit Lions, which would be a really good matchup. The number 3 seed Seattle Seahawks would take on the San Francisco 49ers in a battle of the NFC West. And then the number 4 seed Green Bay Packers would host the number 5 seed LA Rams. And in my opinion, the Rams would beat the dog crap out of the Green Bay Packers because of the way they're playing right now. There it is. The playoffs started today. Then swinging to your boy's record on the season. A great week for your boy. 10 for 4 on the week. It went 9 for 4 last week. So the numbers are starting to crank back up. 80 for 54 on the season and 1. And so a nice week 9. Kind of get back on pace. Going to try to do the same thing this week. And that starts tonight with the Denver Broncos taking on the Vegas Raiders. I got the Broncos winning this one 34-20 and see if I can move to 7-3 and get I think this would be my 3rd straight win or something like that. Because at one point we were 3-0, lost 3 games, and then we won 3 in a row. So let's keep it rolling. Come on, Denver. Make me look good tonight. And then our picks for the week, I got the Broncos, Ravens, Lions, Colts, Jets. I may be making a mistake doing this, especially with all the trades, but we'll see what happens. Jets, Jaguars, they're playing the Browns, by the way. Jaguars, Bills, Bucks, Bears, Panthers, Seahawks, Rams, Chargers, and last but not least, the defending Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. All right, everybody. Oh, wait a minute. I did the same thing last week. The teams on the bye this week are the Bengals, the Titans, the Chiefs, and the Dallas Cowboys. Now we're ready. All right. So, look, everybody, thank you all for tuning in for episode 188 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and, of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. We're very excited. Week 10. It's going to be another fun week of football. See how things go. See who can pull off some wins. See if your boy can have another great week, man. I'm trying to go 14-0 this week. Trying to be 94, 54-1. and then just be six wins away from 100. I'm having a really good year so far this year. So I've got a chance to like really break through on my record. I'm trying to get, I think last year I went 171 and I think 171 and 101, something like that. So I need to go and get at least 171 wins this year. We're trying to get closer. So I need 100 wins more to, really stand out this year. But with that being said, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you. Another episode of 101 in the books. And we'll be back next week for episode 189 next Thursday night. And we cannot wait to be able to bring you that episode. Until then, I'm Darrell Owens, Legacy Maker Sports Network, Bowie Television. Until next time.
One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof.